In this example, we're going to look at the chi-square test using SPSS. And so suppose that we wanted to look at the relationship between health and happiness, and we were interested in determining whether that relationship held in the true actual population, not just in the sample. And so what we could do is we could start out by creating a crosstab table. So we get Analyze, Descriptive Statistics, and then crosstabs. And we're just going to type in our row and our column variable. And so our column variable, or our independent variable in this case, let's make that health. And so we're going to highlight that, move that over to where it says columns, and we're going to make happiness our dependent variable, or our row variable. Now if we click on statistics, and we put a check mark next to chi-square, SPSS will calculate the chi-square statistic for us. So we're going to click continue, and then OK. And if we go to our output window and kind of scroll down, notice that SPSS has created a bivariate frequency table of the relationship between health and happiness. And down below here, we have our Pearson's chi-square value. And so that the test statistic in this case is 129.268 for 6 degrees of freedom. Again, that's the number of rows minus 1 times the number of columns minus 1. And what we're mainly interested in looking at is this, what says asymptotic significance, two-sided. That's our p-value. And so our p-value in this case is effectively 0, which means that we can reject the null hypothesis at a conventional alpha level, let's say like 0.05. And so the null hypothesis basically is that these two variables are independent. And so we can reject that in favor of the research hypothesis that there is some relationship between health and happiness that holds in the population. Now, it's not clear whether this is a strong relationship or if it's even some kind of intuitively meaningful relationship. All we know that is this relationship holds in the population. But we should also consider that we have a fairly large sample here, 1,299 cases, and so we're more likely to find a significant result as a consequence. All right, now let's take a look at how to do this in PSPP. Essentially, it's the same kind of thing. So again, we're just going to go up here to Analyze, and then we're going to go to Descriptive Statistics and then Crosstabs. We're going to put in our row and our column variable. So again, health is going to be our column variable. Happiness is going to be our row variable, or our dependent variable. And then if we click on statistics, chi-square is checked by default, so we really don't need to change anything there. And we can just click on OK. And then once we go to our output window, we're going to see that PSPP has basically generated the same kind of results that we found in SPSS. So here we have a bivariate table of health and happiness. PSPP by default includes a lot more percentages than SPSS does. But we're really interested in these values. So we see that our Pearson chi-square test statistic is 129.27, the same thing that we got from SPSS for 6 degrees of freedom, and we see that our p-value is essentially 0. And so again, we can reject the null hypothesis, meaning that the association between these two variables holds in the population, not just in the sample. And that means that health and happiness are related. And that's basically the answer to this question. And so it seems that you can use PSPP and SPSS equally well. Both are a good choice for doing chi-square analysis.